Hello, my lovelies. Good morning. I'll show you a little bit of where I am just to take in the views. It's a beautiful, beautiful sun is just shining. And I'm very lucky to be here indeed. I'm out early this morning. Tonight we are having the Divine Mother transmission. And while I'm talking to you, I'm going to share this into the Lionsgate group because this is where I'm holding the transmission. Give me one moment. Perfect. Wonderful. There we go. So I'm coming on just to share a few of the little snippets of messages that have been coming through the last couple of days. I mean, this really has been going since before Lionsgate, and the information's just been coming through, and there's so much. So trying to filter out what to share is part of the game here. So this morning, just in relation to this evening, where we'll begin that Divine Mother transmission at 6:30 European time. That's 5:30 Irish and UK. And the registration is on my page. You can go and register and I'll bring you into the group. You'll get the Zoom, you'll pop on. It's donation or free. This is for everybody. The Divine Mother wants you to hear her call in you, through you, okay? So a little bit what I was going to talk about this morning. Some of you have been following my pilgrimage trip on Friday the 13th to Montserrat in Spain, where the Divine Goddess energy has been present for thousands of years. That used to host the Temple of Venus on those mountains. They're like huge serrated mountains. And before I went there, I had these visions of Shiva lingams. And if those of you who don't know what a Shiva lingam is, let me know if you do in the comments. You might know more than me. It's a recent thing I've been coming in contact with in meditation. And what it looks like is they can be these natural phenomena that come out of the earth, okay? And essentially they can look like phalluses. And often they may have, and in the Hindu tradition, it's often in a female divine sacred center, almost like the phallus is coming through the vagina, essentially the birthing canal. So the Shiva lingam is, it can look like that, but essentially in essence, it's representing the divine, okay? And they're huge power centers, these Shiva lingams. They're present around the world. They're not just in India. I've seen them in Ireland. They just haven't been recognized. And here I was getting this in my mind's eye as we were going there. And I could see then why I was seeing that before I went to Montserrat, because there is Shiva lingams bursting out through the earth in various forms. And I'll post some pictures in the Lionsgate group and just circle the ones that have the vortex points so you can tune in via the photograph and receive codes via that way. There's one particularly very powerful 3 in a row as we come out of the Basilica in Montserrat, and there's a huge vortex over that, massive. I came looking at it and my husband had to nearly hold me up. It was so strong. My head was spinning. I was getting very dizzy. It was pulling me into it. And I just had to ground quite quickly once I realized this is where the vortex is. And it was right opposite the Basilica because they couldn't build on it because it's Shiva lingams, big serrated edges of the mountain. I will share a bit about that in the Lionsgate group because there's a whole other message from that vortex related to the transmission and a whole energy code system that will come through from that as well. So what I was talking about today, good morning ladies, I see Pernell and Jean and Joe, hello. I pulled cards before I went, or when I was there I should say, before kind of tuning in on the day. I pulled cards on the day and I posted a photograph of them because I wanted to do a little layout on the earth of Montserrat when I got there with some crystals and a bit of grid work and just tune into what the cards were telling me with the energies. And 3 of the cards I kid you not, had the word change, transformation and change. It was like I just kept pulling that word in the different, in the deck. So that's become a word of focus, this transformation and change. And it feels like a word of preparation. And I've said this before, the word purification kept coming through. And some of us might be experiencing little bits of ascension symptoms again. You might have had it before Lionsgate or during it, or even now, the 13th, around that date. It might be over the month. You might have small, nagging little things coming up. And this is an aspect of the purification process. Much of it has been, for me, surrounding the neck, and that was very much around 0808, clearing this part here, the shoulders, neck, and head, so that the codes could come through. And again, this is the ego centers, okay? This is the responsibility centers, the ego centers. It leads directly into the third eye and the divine throat center, which obviously is linked to the heart. And then the next point on the 13th was the feet. The feet became an aspect of concentration. And I was being shown the washing of the feet and how this was in the Bible many times. You see this a lot of times in the Bible, the washing of the feet. And it's done in reverence. It's done as a purification ritual. It's done as a preparation ritual before something was going to happen. They wash the feet, okay, before a celebration, a miracle, right, a Cana. The feet washing happened. And the feet washing was done in divine love. It was done as an act of grace. It was done as an act of blessing. The feet right now have been coming up for me personally. Since I cleared, again, the OA codes that came through, my neck cleared and it went all the way through the body. And it's like it was hitting a little density point in my body, because my body's upgrading, and all of our bodies are right now. And during these upgrades, we might hit little pockets of energies physically. Some of you may be way more purified than I am physically, but I'm just sharing in case you're resonating. And I'll get these kind of strange feelings, sensations, hotness, coldness, tingling, pins and needles. I'll get little aches, pains, and then it'll pass through and I breathe into it and it's gone, okay? And it's not from activity, like it's just randomly throughout the day. And I recognize it's a signal right now to ground for me as well, because there's so much information and not getting pulled out, right? Grounding is really important. The feet representing our step moving forward in change and transformation. The feet representing the first connection point to earth. The feet representing feet first. We jump in, we leap forward, okay? The feet also have all the access points to the rest of the body. So when we massage the feet, we can access points within the body itself to clear. So I was being shown massage of the feet, particularly important right now. Connection to the feet with your hands, with your breath, with your focus will be beneficial right now as a physical practice to undertake. If anybody has a feet phobia or doesn't like their feet being touched, which I don't like my feet being touched. So I've had to breathe through that as well and go, what is that? That's from childhood, right? Super sensitive, very sensitive feet. Again, because I absorb information. So if we are walking around barefoot in somebody else's home, you're absorbing their information, what they've shed, and you're actually transmuting that for them as well. So be aware of that. And this is something I learned from one of my teachers, Sri Kaleshwar mentions this. So it's interesting to kind of take that, have socks on sometimes if you know you're going into a very dense space and you're not wearing shoes. Somebody's working through heavy stuff. Unless you really want to help them transmute it, wear socks. That's just one of the points I'm making, because I'm realizing that picking up is quite easy right now as well. Okay, so there's some of the things about the feet. Massage, breath work into the feet, massaging the feet, pulling the toes. There's certain exercises as well. There's a connection with the brain I got shown in the feet. And the mind, if the mind is not connected to the feet, if the divine mind is not connected to the feet, you can't fully embody all that's coming through. So I have a little email I've sent out to everybody joining me tonight on if you'd like to do the foot bath intention setting with water alchemy. We're going to bless the water that we drink, and we're blessing the water we're placing our feet in so that we are receiving a blessing. All right, we're doing that in the group tonight, so it's an option if you want to do it. I will be doing it as I'm speaking with you while we're setting the intention. You can have rose water, petals, essential oils, salts, anything you want. It can be plain water, it does not matter. Good morning. Hello, Julie. Hello, Marina. Hello, Elena. So that was a little bit about this evening. And I'm going to go through what has come through. The day before, the 11th, a phoenix dragon came through. And I just saw yesterday Judy Somerville, who was an amazing spiritual artist. Hi, Judy. Who's also joining us this evening. She painted a phoenix dragon as well. She posted it yesterday. So that energy is coming through. I mean, Judy was I was very shy about sharing this because it's my first painting. And I ain't no artist. And I really didn't. I sat in it until yesterday, until I saw Judy's. I was like, okay, I'm going to share this. I was like criticizing it, having to move through that. The phoenix dragon came in, and I will post a picture of that. It's no work of art really, but the energy is in it. And she was holding a huge egg within her belly, her womb. And she was coming down to earth, breathing the holy fire on our earth. What that for me represented again was change, right? This is before I even pulled the cards the next day. Change, the phoenix rising and the change and rebirth that's happening. It's also the seeding of the divine feminine right now that is, you know, I want to say complete. And what we're doing is we're catching up with that. Like the coding is really there and we're catching up with it. And that really means that there's the balancing of the divine feminine and masculine. There's the balance of the dark and the light. And that means that's our power point, right? Where we're accepting, integrating, embodying the dark and the light. That's the embodiment point. Often we want to reject one and go to the other, or we get stuck in one and we don't see the other. But the power point for us all is that embracing and no fear of the dark. Not embracing, that's not the right word. It's an embodiment aspect. And there's a power center within that, the yin and the yang within ourselves, our dark, our light. So that's us working through the shadow, isn't it? In another way. So that phoenix coming through and breathing the holy fires down with her egg. I will post a picture of that. The Magdalene came through, the divine white deer, the prophecy came through. I saw a deer as I walked here, a deer in a sculpture, and I'm going to take a picture of that as well. I was like, oh my God, I'm getting all these signs everywhere. So this is the time of prophecy. And I was always sitting contemplating, and the card that I will post, the Magdalene card, she's pregnant in it. Divine Magdalene card is pregnant, and then we have the deer of prophecy. And then we have the transformation card, the scale keys. That card there, the transformation card, is all about what are you choosing right now? Where is your heart lying? Is it lying with something that's out of alignment? Or is it moving and choosing what is? The Magdalene Divine Reverie, it's called. Essentially, Mary Magdalene is in the card. She's pregnant in it, and she's in deep contemplation about the birth that is to begin, the birth that is to take place. In that card, she's holding it a secret from people that she's pregnant right now, right? So she's just holding it within herself and really connecting to that energy before she shares it with the world, right? She is in a change. She's in her first trimester in that photograph, right? In that little card. I'll post the picture of it. And that is the biggest change the physical body goes through. It's also the mind kind of catching up and digesting the information. I'm pregnant, I'm about to give birth. The body and the mind goes into preparation. The heart opens up to love, to what is going to be birthed. This is what we're all moving through. This is essentially some of the messages she's been bringing through to us, right? Where are you in this process? Where are you in this birth process? What is it feeling like for you right now? Sometimes it can be a shock to find out, you know, oh, I'm pregnant with someone, right? And that's an analogy and an allegory for what energies we're moving through right now and what we're going to be birthing out. And Earth too, right? That's another message, the whole Earth thing. So the prophecy with the deer came in again. I mean, I've pulled that card already in Lionsgate. It's come again, the white deer prophecy. And the deer being a representation of purity and purification, gentleness, love, kindness. Also the white animals all being representations of the time of prophecy is upon us. We are in these times of prophecy. And I mentioned before, I wonder, will we have a big revelation and apparition of the Divine Lady again? As I said before, I was being shown all of the times that she has come. We have Knock in Ireland, Lourdes, Fatima, Medjugorje. We have in America, Wood. I can't remember the name of it. So there's a couple of different places around the world. We have in India as well, where she's made herself known over the years, and kind of before big times of trial as well, right? Will she be coming again? And when I asked that question, I got within 5 years there may well very possibly be a physical with many people, even those that don't believe, right? Should be made known. But what I'm getting is, yes, that's what we're all going through right now. We are encountering her within us, in our hearts. She's coming to us in our prayer. She's coming to us in our dreams. She's coming to us in all the synchronicities around us. That's how she's making herself known, in her whispers, in her love for us, but also in her fierceness of shaking us out of apathy, her fierceness in shaking us out of disconnect. She showed me the plugged in and the plugged out. Are we plugged in via the heart? The heart was a huge message. It kept coming in. Are we plugged in or are we plugged out? And what are we choosing with that? The support is there to plug in. There's a journey for some of us in that, me included. And when I say that, I mean there's a healing of the body in the sense of our nervous systems, the ego, and I call this the polyvagal aspect, right? Fear, creating shock, creating shutdown, fight, flight, freeze, and moving back into full embodiment, which is our homeostasis, our harmony, our peace, our centeredness. So what I'm seeing with me is I get a little too much information, and I have a tendency to go into overwhelm, and it's so subtle. It's not like it's obvious. It's so subtle. It can either be, I'll kind of in my mind say, oh, that doesn't bother me. But then I reflect and I realize, oh, I was in a tiny bit of shock, or I shut down so as not to receive that fully. And actually it does bother me. It's now sat within me and I have to process the emotions that are coming up with it. And this is all part of this purification process. Grief is big right now, right? Because when we change, we let go. When we know there's a great change upon us, we know there's something we need to allow crumble away and fall away. And sometimes there could be a grief process with that. Sometimes the ego wants to hold on so hard. It's afraid to change. It wants to control. What do? We breathe, we feel. We bring ourselves into gratitude. And for me, we pray, right? And your prayer might look different. Sometimes my prayer looks like getting out in nature, connecting with nature. And that for me is a major one. Opening my heart every time I see something in nature. She brings me right back in when she shows me butterflies. She brings me right back in when she shows me beauty. Beauty is important in earth right now to see, to feel, to allow the heart to open. She'll show it to you in loads of different ways, even in your little potted plants at home. So find something that will open the heart for you, that will create that safe space of safety so that you can receive that support and connect in. The Essenes came through, and I was shown with that change and transformation during his times, right? The Romans were persecuting them. The Romans were in control. There was restrictions and rules, all right? I was being given, this is then, this is now. 2 major times of change, All right, so they just showed this to me in both ways. There was major power struggles going on between kings and despots. All right, you know, look at the governments here. I'm not going to get political, but you just got to look. There was a lot of violence going on at those times, okay? People were in, the collective were in a lot of fear. And anybody that's read those books, the Magdalenes or Claire Hartstrong's books, I mean, that's mentioned in them as well. The Anna, the Voice of the Magdalene, any of those books talk about that. So I was asking, well, how did Jesus' family do it? How did the Magdalene families do that? How did the Essenes do this? How did they stay connected during these turbulent times that they were in? They also knew there was a prophecy coming. They knew they were at the apex of that. They knew they were the holders of that prophecy, that light that was to come through. And it came through Yeshua, the Christ. It came through Anna. It came through Mary, Joseph, all these beings. It wasn't just Yeshua. It was many of them. It was the whole community, because they were all involved in anchoring the light and anchoring the energies that allowed the Christ to come in. Right? It wasn't just one person. It was the whole community. And that's what we are building. And that's what I got told we need. That's what will keep us stable. Connection and building our communities to help us move through this change. Rather than, and this is something I have to check out, withdrawing. So when I got a lot of stuff I got to process, I tend to withdraw. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with going into the cave every now and again, right? As we move through and then we come back out again. I mean, I really have a lot of that. But community and sharing that, knowing that we're all in the cave, you know, at different times, and we can just talk about it, we can share it, we can lean into that circle, that community that we're creating. Do you have that? Are you creating that? Are you calling out for that? What does it look like? Who is that for you? So that feels like an aspect of change that wants to come in, because that might mean you're letting go of others that do not want to create that with you. They want something different, right? So this is what came through. And living in the heart, building in this community, adaptability, right? They were showing me the adaptability of these communities, that they could move, they could shift, that they, you know, they pack up with ease and grace. Material possessions didn't mean anything. And this came in as well around, you know, are you prepared to let that all go, Mary? It was kind of like as if I'd have to walk away from my house tomorrow, and with just the clothes on my back, how would I feel? How would I feel about leaving it all, not bringing one thing with me? So it was making me feel into my attachments deeper, so that, and I'm not saying that that's going to happen, that, you know, literally not, I'll have to walk away from it all, right? I'm not saying that, but it was like I was put in that position in my mind space to imagine it, to feel it, and to see how I would react, what feelings came through me. And I will say I always say I'm not attached to material things, but I was like, oh, there's a pang here about that, there's a pang here about that. There's something about wanting more around this. And there was some fear around lack and scarcity that I had to move through. What if I don't have enough? You know, what could go wrong? So there was a lot of those emotions I moved through when she brought me in that over the weekend. We're still on the weekend. I was being faced with that, if that makes sense. Now, this is linked into the information that came through in Montserrat regarding the 3 Shiva Lingams and this phoenix dragon, okay, the holy fires. I wasn't going to get into that here. A little bit of context on why that came through is that phoenix is breathing holy fires down on earth. Now that is literally the receiving of the Holy Spirit, right? Shekinah, Sophia energy, and the Holy Spirit graces, the gifts that come with that. But I kind of got the inkling of fires ravaging down through the mountain of Montserrat. And believe it or not, when I went to go to the cave, the holy grotto that was there, everything was barriered off. And we asked, there was police all around the place, right? We asked the police and security. There was so much police and security there, it was crazy. And they had all these barriers. You can't pass, you can't go into the mountain. So I was like, oh my God, literally rules and restrictions here as well. And we're like, why? They're like a risk of fire. So it was very hot. Obviously, that's why they put this up on the practical level. But at the spiritual level, I laughed. They were trying to control the receiving of the fire, the holy fire. And at the same time, I had an image of, yes, fires will ravage through different areas on Earth right now. And I do think some places on Earth are experiencing that. This came to me, I think it was last March. When I was channeling for some of you, I pulled cards and I was being given all those visions. And I don't call this climate change, right? That's not the right word for this. What this is the holy fires raining down on earth, clearing and purifying for the divine feminine birth through. It's the the crumbling away of old lands, stuff falling into the sea, the creation of new, volcanoes bringing forth new lands, new fertility, new growth, right? The new land forming, new earth forming means there may be crumbling away of what no longer is serving earth right now. I did get that, and that's not to frighten people. It's not going to be all at once. It's a process and a journey through this. It's a birth process. And there will be contractions. And that's when we'll see the floods. That's a contraction we're moving through. That's when we'll see the fires or the storms. That's a contraction we're moving through. How are we moving through contractions as Earth gives birth? Are we breathing through them? Are we okay to walk away from it all with just the clothes on our backs? Or are we holding on, fearful of letting go? Are we feeling alone, separated? Maybe just as mothers feel when they're giving birth, that they're the only ones that can do this. But in fact, they're supported by so many around them, and the breath. Coming back into the body is important for them. Or they tense up and they tighten that birth canal and they make the birth hard. They want to hold it in. And that becomes painful, right? So what I was getting is like, we're going to be learning to birth and breathe, move through contractions that will happen, be it people, be it despots, be it viruses, be it, the word climate change does not resonate. The holy fire is raining on earth, you want to call it. The holy fire is purifying earth. All right, the change of the earth as she moves through her shift into her energies, her birthing process. And us, what's she looking for when she's doing that? What does a mother want when she's moving through something? She wants love, care, support. She wants you to think of her, send her love. She wants you to hold her and love her, massage her. So what would that look like for you as you place your feet on her? Right? How will your feet move among her, massaging her as you walk? Right? How will you help her? Because part of our roles as humans, as light workers, beings, healers, we are the pillars of the light. We're like the anchor rods. We help her by bringing through and anchoring in the codes through our feet for her to receive into her deep base and center. Now I got shown 0808, the Amrita, the Ambrosia, the Soma, the nectar, the manna. Okay, you see these words in all religions. I realized that after I was getting these words. These are in all religions. That is the nectar of life. It's the forever rejuvenating youth, that nectar. And God provided that to the Israelites when they were in the desert. It's in other religions. The yogis use this manna to sustain themselves. They don't eat for years and they just live off prana. That nectar is within us, behind the pineal, right? The Tela gland, I think it's called, or the Tekla gland. And that has been activated at 0808. Those of you that did that transmission with me, that'll be a process again of purification. Okay, and there's a learning process in that. I won't get into that. I need to learn and master this myself. But she has that within her core. I was seeing this and it was hijacked. And ours gets hijacked during astral traveling as well. I could see sometimes when we go off into dream sleep, things come to us. We're moving through stuff, or we get psychically attacked. That attacks that part of us, right behind the pineal. And we're just there reclaiming that. reclaiming our sight, okay? Reclaiming our knowingness, reclaiming our power. That's owning the shadow, right? Owning, mastering that. Not being afraid, not giving power away to it. And claiming it as our own territory, sovereign. So we did that 0808 in that transmission. We're doing it nearly every day with every breath. I saw how I can accumulate during astral traveling, and I've been learning about protecting every time I go to bed at night. So, you know, calling in archangel shields before you sleep, especially if you have astral travel a lot. I'm just going to take a breath. I think I'm trying to get through too much information in this. I need to slow down. There's too much information in the last 3 days. Okay, hold on. Where will I refocus and bring what needs to come through? She has this within her, and we can tap into that through our feet again. This is her holy earth core. They showed it to me as ambrosia, nectar of life, amrita, soma, mana. Mana from above, from source, as it comes down through all of our systems here, energy systems, into the divine pineal, into the Tekla gland, moving down through this nervous systems, moving to the feet, down into the earth, as above, so below. Connected, you know, alpha, omega, alpha, connected on both sides. Father, mother, sky, earth. We have resources, sustenance as above, so below. So connecting to her and above, that balance as well. That's the embodiment aspect for me anyway, has been again part of that messaging that's coming through. So consciously doing that daily, as often as you can every day, which is why we're doing that footpath. It's all part of this process. It's an aspect of self-care. As we care for self and connect to her feet, we're connecting to earth. It's part of care for her because we're placing cared for feet upon her. It's grace. We're imbuing and attracting this grace to us with every step. And you'll start to see the changes, and you'll start to see synchronicities, you'll start to see more beauty around you and more open hearts, and also be able to hold that energy moving forward, the open heart, no matter what the distraction is, the overwhelm or the challenge. Okay, so that's some of what I wanted to talk about. Talked about the prophecies, the crumbling away, the ego struggle. I did. I took notes just before I came on this to make sure I would get through. Processing grief, talked about that. The open heart. That was all, I mean, this was the biggest message in Montserrat. I'm going to take another breath. Ooh, okay. So the heart energy center, the heart transmitting center, the heart receiving center. And I was shown all these people were there, and this is a pilgrimage site. All these people here. Now this was a dragon speaking to me from the mountain, which I will do in a different live. There's another message there. That black dragon, she was talking to me and she said, look at everybody around you here. So I had a look around, and I was kind of in my prayer state at the time, and she said they all come to this space knowing it's sacred. Some come praying for something that they need. Some come just for sightseeing. Some come with empty prayers. Now that's where I had the pang of pain. I could feel her pain in that. And I kind of was like, can you elaborate on what that is? And the impression I got was they're praying from a closed heart. They're praying from a heart that's shut down. They're going through the process because that's what they've been told or programmed to do. It's like they're ticking a box. And they're asking one hand to open the heart, but on the other hand, they've also decided not to. So they're kind of pleading, open my heart, and then she wants to open it, and they're like, no. So it's hard for me to put this into words because it was an energy, a feeling that moved through me. And it was a feeling of deep sadness that she had. And that she was like, they're not yet ready. And then she put the call out again, right? The call for the open heart, the call for the open heart, the call for the open heart. And the call for the open heart is connect to her. Open up to her. She's in the heart of us. She's never been outside of us. She's never been away from us. She's always been within us. And all she is doing is looking for us to open our hearts to our own selves, because that's where she resides. That's the flame, the holy fire flame. So that was part of that message. I'm getting a little emotional just remembering that from her and how that made me feel. Take another breath in. So the opening of the heart chakras, I'm having physical pain on and off, just like my feet, in my heart center. And this for me is a cracking. Again, I go through these different cracks of the heart, you know. You may be having this as well. So breathing in through that, loving, caring, self-care, everything is all part of this process. You have the tools, she said, around choice. This is all a choice. You have the tools to help you on the journey of healing. Are we going to fight that journey, which creates more pain, or are we going to breathe through it? Where does your heart belong? Now, she showed me with transformational choice, we can love and we can see the prophecy, we can see the Christ before us, right? She, he may be standing before us, this Christ energy. And the Christ says, come with me. And we say, oh yes, yes, I really want to come with you. And then we go home and we see that, you know, the husband or the wife or the kids are at home. And, you know, the jobs are there, the comforts are there. And we hear the beckoning call and we're like, oh, but if I go, I'm leaving them behind. We might have some of these like program conditions thoughts. Sometimes there is a leaving behind of some people or places or jobs or things, right? And I talked about that in the change aspect. Sometimes it's only temporary while we're moving and accepting and opening up to that Christ energy, because we're on a journey and maybe we're learning on that journey and we need a few moments to learn. And we get afraid of this big change, of what we have to let go. We get afraid of letting other people down. Now, this aspect was almost like we're afraid of the responsibility of the change, or we're afraid of expectations of others and disappointing them. And yet we have the Christ in front of us. And I'm just saying Christ is an energy, but source, creator, God, divine feminine, whatever word you want to use, the divine supreme mother. I mean, she's standing there saying, come on, I have something to show you, come with me. And every part of her being wants to, and yes, some part won't. So she was kind of inviting us to look at our where our expectations are, others upon us, how we allow that bind us, and what would it take for us to move through that feeling of being bound. It doesn't mean we're not responsible. Let's say you have kids, like, yeah, you're responsible for them. It's not about that, right? But it's taking on the crosses of others and saying, I can't leave their crosses down. I can't go with you because I'm carrying all of that. It's kind of like, no, you can let all the crosses down. The people are going to be there and they'll always be there. That's just a fear. And I got shown, and I can't think of the name now, it was with me. There was a Pharisee, again, this was like through Yeshua, was gathering his disciples. His women, okay, there was a male and woman counterpart. All right, that's been written out of history. But he was gathering disciples, and one of them was a Pharisee. And this was didn't believe and then spoke with Jesus, did believe. Yeshua invited him to follow. And he went home, and essentially his prestige, where he was in his area of life, he had a lot of comforts. His wife didn't want him to go anywhere. His wife wanted him to fulfill his duties as husband to her and the kids and provide for her, and he chose that. And there's an image I have of him, and he's crying, and Jesus is there, and he's like, I'm sad that you feel you can't come with me, kind of a thing, but I'm always here. And I just thought about that. God, I can't for the life remember me who it's the image of this being coming in, what his name is. And And I have to look through that myself and go, who am I in that? Am I that too in any area of my life? Where am I afraid to follow? And it came up for me. It came up for me because I'm gonna say this, I had a chat with my hubby about these visions, and we needed to go to this place, Montserrat, and there was specific times we needed to go. I could feel like he was all up for that. We're going. And then when I told him information came through about we're going early times, I could feel a resistance. And I said, there's a reason for this. I knew there was a reason, and it was like I'm just following what I'm being given. This is the divine will, not my will, in my conversation with him. And his thing was, well, what if this is, do we have to do it every, next week? Are you going to go to X country and just say you have to go? And where does this leave me? I literally had this conversation with him. And this was a fear for him. And I said, it won't. It'll always be for the highest good, my love. And I had to kind of move through that fear with him. And also move through that fear of him not understanding. And my love for him and where that places us. And the biggest part of that for me was communication, moving through our fears together with that. What does that mean for our relationship? What does it mean for my relationship with Source if I keep getting these pulls here and pulls there? How do I respond to that call and yet still have balance and love and harmony in my relationship? So I don't know how that will look for you, okay? I'm saying it because it's come up for me, and I'm still teary about this. It just might look different. Open heart. Because part of me instantly wanted to close down and go, oh my God, you don't believe me, right? But I had to stay open and realize that there was a fear for him about me too. Me losing myself, let's say, for him as a man looking, at his wife. Holy moly, has she gone crazy? And also his fear of he doesn't have control over his life if we're at the whim of every message that comes through his wife, And I get that. And that's not what this is about, but these are fears that we both had to work through. All right, so what does that look like for you? It could be something completely different. That's just a little snippet of what this message has come through for me this weekend. Choice came through. Do I choose to keep people happy, to please my husband and say, okay, we won't go to Montserrat, or we won't go at this time? Or do I say, how can we move through this together? Open heart together, where he's totally on board with me too, which he was. And oh my God, I'm so blessed. So moving through those fears creates open bridgeways, pathways of communication. If you have spouses, partners, friends, colleagues, brothers, sisters, it's so important right now, having that open heart as you communicate, because it creates the bridge for the other to meet you there in the middle. And even if they're not ready, they sense that bridge. They might be testing it with their feet. Can I test the bridge as sturdy as there? And then I can take a step forward. Because the open heart feels loving. Even if the bridge looks scary for somebody that's afraid of heights. That's afraid of letting go. It's afraid of, not having their feet on earth or on a bridge. If they fell, where does the bridge go? So all these questions can be moving through our loved ones right now as we're choosing this transformation. I hope I'm making sense. Give me a thumbs up if we're making sense. I'm not sure, is this still working this live? Am I just talking to myself now? Okay. One of the cards, this is the last thing I'll move through, is the Kali card came up. Okay, good. Okay, at least I'm just seeing it just went silent on me there, so I wasn't sure if this was frozen or not. So the Kaladara Kali card came up. That was the very first card I pulled. Again, I'll post up all these cards and their messages. Kali for me is always a little bit, whoo, she sends the shivers down my back. I can feel the weight of her hand on my head as she comes in. I mean, she's a presence to be reckoned with. She's fierce. She's not afraid to make herself known. She doesn't come in gently, you know? Whereas, and these are all aspects of the Divine Mother. They're all the Divine Mother. They all show up to you in different ways. Okay, so Mother Mary for me is very gentle, as is Mary Magdalene. Whereas when Carly comes in, oh, you know, the door is shut, the candles blow out, and she is there in all her presence. And I gotta breathe deeply into my body when I connect with her, because she can almost shake me out of myself. And also kind of, if I'm not kind of grounded, I'll kind of, I want to say the word freak out because that's not right. She can make you stop breathing because like, right? So you got to keep breathing with her. She's here, the Kaladara aspect of her. Her whole message is grace. That word came in, look, my throat's going again, grace. That this is a time of grace. And the graces won't be seen unless the heart is open. It's like a catch-22. And the grace is there to open the heart. The graces are there to be seen when the heart is open. And these blessings or graces are really present. They're palpable. And this is the grace will come through in all different ways for different people. I mean, she's telling me the grace of prophecy, the grace of healing, the grace of transformation, the grace of abundance, the grace of joy. She's just saying this all right now as I'm talking to you. The grace of renewal, rejuvenation, the grace of knowing and wisdom. So she's showing me this aspect of grace. It comes in so many different ways. And it can look different to each of us, but oh my goodness, will it be felt? And it can be spectacular, and it can shake you to your very core. And when we got to Montserrat, the very first thing as I got out of the car, I saw it was a dragonfly, flew over. And then we walked up, and we're coming up towards the basilica. I wasn't even looking at the basilica, because as we walked by, there was these little potted plants, and the hubby was with me, and he goes, "Oh," and we stood for 20 minutes around potted plants. We must have looked crazy. All our attention was on potted plants, and everybody else was looking at the amazing architecture and the mountains and everything around us, and we were looking at these potted plants, because the potted plants had all these amazing creatures. There was an abundance of butterflies and bees and black bees. There was the hummingbird moths. Oh, so many. And these are rare. There was so many. We were just, I'll post some pictures. And all you could hear was our gasps, the two of us. And he got his phone out and he's like, "Oh, there's one. And we were both like that. And we were like children walking around the potted plants, our heads down, just in wonder and awe. And I could see people like walking by going, "What are they looking at? That's a potted plant." And that for us, I got shown after. Because we were in complete wonder. It was just open heart, like amazement. Oh my God, look at this, look at that. And then they'd fly around us. And we were so close that like I could feel the wings against my face. They allowed us to get so close. They were so magical. And of course, then when I tuned in, the Fae were there. And the Fae were creating this for us. They were like, "Will you notice Earth around you? Mother Earth's presence everywhere in every little thing. Here's a little gift. A little blessing of joy and wonder before you even get in to see anything. Before you get into the whole, here's the Black Madonna and here's the holy site. This is even before you enter. How open are you to receive the blessings?" And the simplest thing, a potted plant. So that is the grace that's around us right now. You don't have to go anywhere special, is kind of what I'm saying. We received everything from those potted plants that we needed in Montserrat, right? Everything that we needed, we got the minute we tuned into that. And you have that same capacity to do that wherever you are. It does not have to be an amazing place. It does not have to be, you know, if you're in a town or a city, you know, you don't have to. Whatever you have will give you that around you. It's always within a finger's distance. But are you open to see it and to notice and to call it forth and to welcome it into you? All right, so that was part of that message for me and him. It was so amazing. Kaladara Kali is all about, I'm gonna clear my eyes because I'm crying. We were crying looking at that as well. I cried so much. She's all about moving forward and giving us the grace to move forward. Sometimes that's all we need. I will give you more of her message as well that's coming through later on, because I need to go now. I'm going to go for a swim. It's getting hot. And I will post up later when I get back to the house all those cards and the dragon photos. Thank you for listening. I will see you tonight. That's just a little snippet of like it's like, how do I choose what's come through? So much, and I'm still trying to digest it. It's like I've had these morsels of an abundance, a banquet I've been at these past few days, and I'm digesting so much of it, integrating it. So these are the bits I can share. Yeah. Blessed be we. Abunda bashmaya nitkadash smach. Teti malkutach. Nechwe sabiana haikana deba. Haikuna de bashmara. Af de ba'ar. Tripping up over my words there, but starting that prayer always brings me into the heart, and we'll be doing that tonight. That is the unity conscious prayer, part of it anyway. And it's, O birther, mother, father of all creation, who creates is present in sound, vibration, and light. Your domain approaches. Let your will be done. So there are just a couple of those words, those few sentences. I will leave you with that and see you tonight. I'm so looking forward to this. Our foot baths, our water alchemy intention that we're blessing the waters. We will move into a little meditation and receive the transmission. Have yourself a glass of water. Have your foot bath if you're ready for that, if you want to do that with us. It's optional. Have a blanket or a pillow if you need it. It's a quiet place to recline, reflect. And I will see you at 6:30 this evening. If you can't catch today, know that it doesn't matter. Time, you know, this is not linear time. These sequences, these codes, these transmissions don't act on linear time. They're there for you to get whenever you need it. It's quantum. It's not bound by space or time. So if you want to watch the replay, you're with us now, right? There is no then and when and past and present. It is now. So when you're watching the replay, you're with us at 6:30 tonight. Okay? And that's my intention. When I set the intention for the group, that's true. Even if you watch this 6 years from now, 10 years from now, that's true. Thank you for being with me. I felt many of you with me on the journey on Friday. I had flashes of faces come. People I don't know. I've never met some of you before. I've heard some of your prayers. I get emotional again. I could hear your prayers for those that are dying. Some of you have people that are dying, and some of you have people that are sick. Some of you are in a little bit of despair. I hear you and I feel you. Some of you are maybe a little afraid, and you're still coming tonight. You're still willing to connect, and you're opening your heart even more. And I lit those candles in the grotto, and I put each and every one of you into that. Those of you that said yes when I made that video the day before, the morning of, you said yes, yes, yes. I mean, you were very present. But I called in those of you that, have yet to register. I called in those of you that maybe are going to watch this on the replay as well. Remember, this is quantum. So even if you're like, oh, I missed that, she didn't get my name, that doesn't matter. I brought you in. I felt you. I love you. Thank you for trusting me with that. And that candle is still lighting. It was huge, big, huge candle. So that's still going to light for a few more days, I would say. Okay? I'll post a photo of that too. I lit a couple of those very large candles for all of us and all of our intentions, all of our prayers and petitions. That was one of her messages. Do not have shame in asking from me. I am always here. You ask from the heart, I hear you. She loves you. She is you. She's already working through you. I'll see you tonight. Bye, my darlings. Okay, I need to say this as well. I'm crying. And I've sun cream on, so it's stinging. A need to ask from the heart that you share this, tell people about this, send them a message, send them the link. If you feel called, that they're coming into your mind, maybe this is something they need, even if they can't make tonight, it's that they're connecting with the energy. It's that connection. It's like a thread in a web. It's a weave of a web, and you're just creating that, making it bigger. If you're feeling somebody needs this right now, somebody's looking for it right now, that it's going to bless somebody right now, give them the grace that they need, whatever that is, please share this, either intentionally or if you can physically, because this was a call for everybody. This was a call from the heart. That's why I made this donation based or free. If people can't afford it, that's not to stop them coming, right? So they come. I welcome you all. She welcomes you all. Thank you for co-creating with me. I love you. Bye.